Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Burnout Podcast. My name is Skip O, and I'd like to talk to you about our sponsor today, Throttle and Thrive. You can go to throttleandthrive.com and check out what they got to offer. It's a 6-bed facility for men. In the future, they're working on one for women, but Siobhan is the CEO. Give her a call. Check out the place, do a virtual meeting, or go there, visit if you're there in California. Remember, that's throttleandthrive.com. Today we're here and we're welcoming my old co-host here, Jeff. Just Jeff, how you doing today?
I am excellent, Skip. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good now since I got Steve to help me out and deal with you today. So we're going to tag team you. I had to bring somebody on to help me. Oh,
easy.
Hey, Steve, how you doing, man?
I'm superb. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, Steve, could you tell people where you're from, how many years on department, and all that good stuff?
I am from Maine. I have spent a total of 32 years between being a junior firefighter right up through volunteer and paid, and then almost 29 of that in EMS, from first responder up through paramedic. And
well, cool. Well, thank you for being on here. Jeff, where are you from? What are you doing? Or what'd you do?
Well, it started in my mom's womb. I'm only kidding. Well, I was born in Council Bluffs, Iowa, came out to Maryland, and I was in Ohio. I joined a department as a cadet at the age of 13 and moved to Maryland, joined the volunteer firehouse in Charles County, Maryland at the ripe age of 15 years and 364 days. So I signed up on my birthday. And well, long story short, I've been a fireman and a paramedic since then. So
cool.
That's it. That's it.
Well, thanks for coming on here. This is take 2. We started the first one and it was all over the place. So we're back on here and going to try to get this right. But Jeff had a good topic. We was talking the other day, and Jeff, you want to kind of give him just a bit what that is?
Sure. Yeah. My question was along the lines of the stigma is people are afraid to approach the whole topic. And I'm wondering, is it because their knowledge is not based on that? And they don't know anything about mental health, mental illness, or deep down inside, are they worried it's going to happen to them too, like it has to so many people around them? Maybe
a fear to find out, wait a minute, if I acknowledge him, then if I act like that person, I might be the same way.
Well, we're doing the same job as that guy over there is doing. And he's in the bag, and now he's getting rehab for it.
Steve, could you start this conversation, please? We want your infinite wisdom from your many years on this earth.
My infinite wisdom. Yeah, I guess it would be, it's hard to look in a mirror thinking that could be me. People watching other people saying, damn, he's not doing well, and realizing that maybe they're just that one step away from being the next guy to hit the bottle or whatever the vice is. It's not a comfortable feeling.
No, but sure. They do talk about it when you're out with the guys or gals. And next day at the day room, you're talking about that dude, man, he got really tore up last night. And last time he got tore up. And you see a pattern developing there. And it's all, everybody's chuckling around it. Yeah, that was funny when he fell off a stool, so on and so forth like that. And those are comical things, but when you look in through it, you can see this individual has a problem. How do you approach that problem without knowing about this stuff?
Like, said earlier on the other podcast that, American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, they have different classes. It's called to recognize signs of people that are thinking about suicide. And they teach you how to recognize the signs, and then they teach you how to ask that question. And you call out, like if somebody's been missing work, or if they're drinking too much, or whatever the signs may be, that you go up to that person and you say, hey, I'm worried about you. And then you tell them what you're seeing, just like your signs and symptoms on the scene. And then you approach them with that question. You don't say, are you going to harm yourself? And say, no, are you thinking about suicide? You ask them that direct question. And I think for me, when I wasn't trained, I didn't know what to recognize first, for one thing. I knew I had my issues. And then the other thing, What if they said yes? What do we do now? And I think that's where training and education comes in, not just for firefighters, but the public, because you might have a family member, seeing dad's coming home from a fire. He worked a code. Oh my God, he's on a 72. He's had so many codes of shooting, and then, that for years. And then a family member might recognize the signs, but they might be afraid to ask dad because dad has a hot temper.
Yeah.
They're afraid to approach him. Just like a guy or a girl at work, sometimes, I don't know about you, I put out some anger at work, or I put out whatever just to keep people at a distance. Not all the time, just a certain things. Or I did a comic thing. I'd make fun of it and just play it off, like it's not a big deal if somebody would come up and ask my question. So I think for me, I wasn't real approachable in that area. Was you approachable, Jeff?
I was. And I made that way on purpose. I was ranked up, so I had people come to me with problems about other individuals too. What I did was I activated the EAP and got them hooked up, which dissolved any problems I had to deal with, because I didn't know what these problems were. Not until I got encountered with them myself. But yeah, I activated EAP and then kind of brushed them off on the other resource I had.
I think a lot of it, and I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for me. I'd be guessing if I think, for me, after I got trained and I got help, I was ready to help people and ready to, whether they're recovering from alcohol or drug addiction or whether it was a mental health issue, I would, try to help them. Now, a lot of that too, and I was called out for this a long time ago. And even I still got that same care. I'll go help somebody, wear myself thin. Because I might be running from something. Not all the time. Sometimes I help people, I feel good. And when I help another one, I feel really good. Then I chase that. That I would call it addiction, because man, I'm hurting in here or something's not going right here. So, but when I can help Jeff or Steve and I can give them a glimmer of hope, man, that makes me feel good. But then when I'm done helping them, man, if I sink down. Well, then I got to help more people and then more people. Then all of a sudden I sink down even further. That's when I have to, people like you, Jeff, call me out, or my wife, Skip, you're doing too much. You got to slow down. You got to quit. You can't save the world. That's my character defect. I try to, it's not God complex. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, I got to back off and make sure I'm okay. It's just like drowning. If I don't take care of myself, it's going to be hard for me to reach out and help somebody else.
I would venture to say it's an addiction, Skip. You think about what an addiction is, or at least the beginning stages. If you're like me, you have an addictive personality, and that good feeling becomes a rush. You think about the euphoria that goes with helping people, the euphoria that goes with working out too much. Lots of things can be addictions. They're not necessarily super unhealthy to have an addiction in certain aspects. But it raises that question of, when does the mission become too much?
Sure. So, Jeff, when's the mission become too much?
Oh, wow. If I go back to when it was a problem that I didn't realize was a problem, I didn't acknowledge it was a problem, that would be back in August of 2019. About 4 months before I went to the center. I didn't think there was a problem. My wife was telling me I had a problem, but I thought I was right down the middle. I felt like King Kong, and I felt like I had everything under control and I could take care of anything that was sent my way. But then I realized I was drinking not as much, but drinking a lot more, if that makes any sense. And when I would go out drinking, I would exceptionally overdo it. And that started becoming a bigger problem. And then eventually things with life started happening, with the parents passing, the daughter get killed, so on and so forth. And that all kind of caught up with me at the same time. And that's when I realized I had a problem, but I didn't know what to do about it.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I got this shit just coming in all angles at me, and I can't explain it to my wife. Here I am, the chief officer. I'm a paramedic. I'm King Kong, and I can't explain what's going on because I don't know what's going on. And that's not acceptable.
Sure.
So I didn't say anything about it because, I didn't have the answer.
Well, Steve, I know, the same question to you. When did you find out that you knew you had a problem?
When did I actually admit to myself I had a problem?
Sure.
Probably the day the police showed up at my house was when I was really
that's a good indication.
That'll do it.
But up until that point, I thought I was a player that had great game, and I had reclaimed my life. I had gotten out of the toxic marriage I was in. I was working on building my own place out, that kind of stuff. But when the cops showed up at my house and the old great equalizer of law enforcement, it was at that moment that I realized just how poorly I had been coping. A lot of the bad decisions that I had made, a lot of the risky choices I had made, were all coming back to bite me in the ass. And that was when it was really evident that I needed help, because it was either get help or, I was ending my life.
Sure. Well, let me ask you both this, Jeff, you first. Since both of you guys went through inpatient treatment, you've weathered the storm. Does that give you more, I don't know, courage or more willingness to approach somebody now? Since that, going through all that you guys been through, does that give you more courage? And what you taught in treatment and taught about yourself and about addiction, if you're addiction or mental health.
It gives me a bit of confidence that I can help this person. And the only way you can help them, obviously, is asking them. And there's no real, there's the right way and wrong way of asking. And indirect questions is not one of them. Direct questions are obviously the one. But, I'm more comfortable helping people now because I know what it's like to go through, and I know what it's like to battle it before you accept that you have an issue that you need to have dealt with. And sure. I don't want those people having to go through that stuff. I have resources I can tap into, as we all three do here, that can help that person.
Okay, Steve, same question.
Yeah, I definitely feel way more in tune to be able to help people now. Between knowing the words, knowing the lingo, knowing, a lot of the signs and symptoms of all the different addictions and depression and, those characteristics, and being able to be like, I remember when I was going through that, and it's that same, that's the same kind of path that I was walking, or really having that higher understanding of what mental illness looks like, what it is, at least to my understanding, and having that willingness of putting myself out there. But also, I'm fed up with reading about firefighters, first responders, the committing suicide. And, when it's such a preventable thing, I would rather now be able to go out of my comfort zone and forget about the fact that I might upset someone to say, are you okay?
Sure. It sounds like, police officer showing up at your door or going to treatment, all that back then when it happened, worst thing could happen in your life possibly. Guess what? You guys became a blessing to somebody else. Because I look back at all those bad or good things, my perceptions change a lot on that, where those are assets for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I refer to July 29th, the day the cops showed up to my house, as the best, worst day of my life, because it was the catalyst to the change that I needed. I might not have known I needed it at the time, but I needed it.
When we are sharing our experience, strength, and hope with somebody, or brokenness, or however you want to, call it, it's funny. We're really trying to help them by sharing our past inadequacies. But at the end of the day, when I leave them and I talk to them, I go, man, that sounded good. I need to try that with my own life. And when I give them suggestions or something, it's like, and that helps keep me sane and sober. It's sharing our experience, strength, and hope. Who's your teacher? Who's teaching who? That I find, whether it's your children, your grade kids, whether it's your four-legged angels that you got at your house or whatever, who's teaching who sometimes. And I just like that where I could sit and think about all the bad decisions that I made or some things that wasn't my fault, just bad happened in my life. Now I can look at it in a different perspective. Not that it's good. Now, if I had the power to change things, I don't know, I might try, but I can't. But accept it and think, okay, I'm here today. This is the role I'm going to play in this life.
You ever wonder if the hand of your higher power is helping to drive you in that direction to understand, where you need to change, or where you as in, yourself need to change?
I didn't believe in God. Then I thought there's something there. I'm not sure. Then I got a God that I believe in now that I understand. But, I always tell people, here's what I think. Trying to teach God's will is trying to teach quantum physics to a little baby. So I'm not going to understand it all the time. I am not going to get it. But if I sit there and just do the best that I can, do the next right thing is what I've been told. And later on, I leave my life from a rearview mirror. Oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why this is here. That's why I'm here. I get those aha moments or those spiritual experiences or awakenings every once in a while. My spiritual awakening, man, it's like a dimmer switch. I don't get a switch. I'm a dimmer switch when it comes on. It takes me a little while, Jeff. It takes me just a while. I'm slow. But speaking of, all the stuff that happened, as far as your spirituality, how'd you grow into that, Jeff? Like being, whatever it means to you. A lot of people, they, whether you go to treatment, they really cautious about talking about spirituality. And I'm not talking about any one religion, Christianity, spirit, whatever. But how's your spirituality? What's that mean to you, Jeff?
Well, I've kind of figured out that everything I've done in the past 29 years of my long life weren't working out. And I needed to find a better direction, something to help me and put me in that right direction. And that's when I started going back to church. And I had some friends that got me into it too. And I found a lot of peace with that because it's already written. It's not written for me. It's been written for years ago, many, many. And these things are helping me deal with today's issues too.
Cool.
And that's why I found a lot of comfort in doing that.
Okay.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. Steve, what's same question?
Yeah. For me, I grew up in, going to church and whatever, like any, normal kid, so to speak. But I was soured on the formal church, after my divorce from my first wife. And I've never really gotten back into going to formalized church, but I've had my own kind of relationship with God, with higher power, whatever, you want to assign it for a name for him or her, or, depending on everybody's, religion. But I've worked out, for me, that I believe in there being a higher power, and that, the God of my understanding is a loving person or a loving being that, helps me to be able to find solace in, things, or thankfulness in things that happen. And, not everything that happens is good. And sometimes it's, all right, well, you made a point. I'm paying attention, that hand of karma or whatever. But everything has a lesson.
Yes.
Absolutely. I've said all of my adult life, it can't be a regret if you learn something from it. It can be a mistake and try not to repeat it, but it can't be a regret if you really learn something from it, because you learned something and hopefully you don't repeat it.
There's a reason why it happened.
And now my spirituality mostly takes place on a motorcycle.
That's good. Hey, whatever works. I just see, I used to, I don't dodge it or push it on anybody. I'll talk about it, but to think that I can live this life by myself and be happy, I cannot do it. I can't. So I'm glad I got my wife with me. I'm glad I got my children, but unfortunately, as Jeff knows, if I put my faith in people go, and then I can't do that. I can love them, while they're on this earth, or they can love me while I'm on this earth, but I have to have my faith somewhere else. And I've heard different perceptions how people use it, whether it's God or nature and whatever it is. Everybody has a perception of what they believe in, but I just want to throw that out there real quick to you guys about the spirituality.
I definitely believe in God, and I find my solace, stuff like Steve does on the bike. Skip, you do with the bees, with your work with the bees and whatnot, and helping everything and everybody. I jump into my music. I get buried down in the music and just go away.
You DJ, don't you? Don't you do?
I do
some DJing.
I do. I absolutely do. Doing that for 38 years.
Brother, plug yourself. This is your chance to plug yourself. Do it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, it's Just Jeff the DJ. JustJeffTheDJ.com. It's simple. It's simple as that. And, yeah, you got to put the just in front of Jeff because that's how it works. But, yeah, I've been doing that 38 years, and I love it. I did clubs for 13 years, and it was the only job I could find at that time that allowed me to drink and do my job and get paid. And, brother, I had a time of my life. Woo-hoo-hoo. I had a time of my life. It was a great time. It was a great time to be alive then, too. It really was. Yeah, it was.
Well, good.
But, yeah, I'm going to do more of that, too.
Completely off topic, but completely on topic of,
do it.
Of the good Lord looking out for me. I just at this moment received an email of a job offer for a position as a marine designer through Bath Iron Works. I've still got to go through the rest of the process, but the fact that I actually am being offered a position that I interviewed and applied for.
Oh, nice.
I have been looking, and
So you did it right here on the Burnout Podcast. Got a job offer. We just talked about spirituality. Yeah.
Yes. That's why I say it's completely unrelated, but completely related.
Sure.
That's awesome.
That is
cool. Tell my wife.
Yeah. All right. Jeff, we can go to Maine. He's going to buy us dinner now.
Well, we got to wait a couple months.
Well, I don't know what the pay scale will be yet.
Yep.
You come to Maine, I will make sure we have lobster. You come to Maine, I will make sure we have lobster. We'll probably even go down to the wharf and pull it out of the pot from a friend of mine, okay? That's how fresh it will be.
Find an airport. No problem.
You're right there, brother.
No problem.
I'm only about 45 minutes away from the Portland airport. Just saying.
I'm not that far from you. I'm farther than that from your Portland airport. I promise you that. Skip's twice as far.
Steve, that's great news, man. I tell you,
congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome. All right, we're gonna
cross that we keep moving, but
hey, you got enjoy the moment, brother.
I am. I'm smiling ear to ear underneath this big old beard.
I can see that. I mean, everybody else who's listening to this podcast can't see it, but yeah, he's got teeth behind that beard and mustache, and they're showing right now. Yes,
Santa Claus is smiling.
That's right.
Skip's got the Santa Claus beard. Me, I just got a stash above my nose, below my nose, above my lip. I got change that. I feel left out here.
Well, brothers, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. And Jeff and Steve, you guys know how I end this. I always go, Jeff, you first. Now let's go with Steve first. Steve, you first. Now, 30 seconds. Somebody's out there, they're dazed, confused, not sure what to do. They're sitting in their car at the police station. It might be midnight doing paperwork, or it might be a firefighter, paramedic cleaning back of their medic unit after a code, or it might be somebody on mission or their emergency room staff. They need help. They need direction. You got 30 seconds, Steve. Talk to them.
Oh, God. You're worth it. You're loved. You're loved by somebody. You're loved by more people than you ever will realize, because if you decide to take your life, and you can be the fly on the wall at your funeral to see the people that show up, people that are heartbroken, you'll find out who those people were. Do it before you do something drastic. Find out who those people that love you are and stick with them. They're the ones that matter.
Cool. Jeff, you're up. 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to read this. I found on my Time Hop. I was looking at it earlier. So I'll read this because I like it a lot. Doesn't matter who you used to be. What matters is who you decide to be today. You're not your mistakes. You are not your mishaps. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You could definitely decide today at every moment. Remember that you are offered new opportunity with each breath to think, choose, decide, and act differently in a way that supports you in being all that you're capable of being. You are no less than, you are enough.
That's good. That's good stuff.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
All right. Now give them a phrase, guys, a phrase, a verse. When you're going through crap, what pops in your head, Jeff, to get you through it?
Today's another day, or tomorrow's another day. Today is already there and gone.
Okay. Steve?
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Just have to get through the tunnel.
That's good. I like that. Well, guys, thank you for coming on here, man. And just
hope it's not a train.
Oh,
thanks, Jeff. We was doing real well. And just Jeff.
There you go. Mr. Positive, that's me.
Yeah. Jeff won't be on here for another 6 months. Say goodbye to Jeff.
It was a great 30 minutes. Yes, it was.
Hey, guys. I love laughing with you guys. But, hey, everybody home, remember, there's some laughter in your heart somewhere. You just got to find it, get all that crap out of the dark stuff around it. But remember, when you go home tonight, turn your phone off, shut your radio off, and get some sleep. Thank you.